Okay.
And to add a little to that, obviously we have seen and done projects that were, substantially lower in the 150 to 180 square foot per on a new build. It really does have to do with the quality and the specific materials that are utilized.
Yeah, and that's also the complexity too.
Exactly. We've received a question here from Scott in Colorado Springs. He asks, since your team is located in Northwest Ohio, as well as your design office in Florida, how are you able to be cost effective in your services for a project that I have here in Colorado Springs? Well, let me address that one a little bit. And actually, it's really easy for us to be cost effective because there's three parts to it. The first part is we do this, as a practice. This is our specialty. We've gone down through many issues, many questions, many problems by others, so there's no need for you to reinvent the wheel with someone who maybe has not done as many of the dental facilities that we have. Second of all, with this day and age, with the electronics and specifically with things like the meeting software that we're utilizing right now, Skype, we can have numerous design discussions through the internet without even physically having to be there. The only time that we really have to physically be there is during the construction process, and that's on a limited basis. So you add that all up, we can be very cost effective because we can save time and do it a whole lot faster than, let's say, someone who maybe has not done a particular design or dental facility before. Did you have a question come through?
Jim?
Are you there? Yeah, go ahead. You said you had a question.
Yeah, and with technology, the ability to service our clients, it's almost endless. I mean, we can design for a doctor in California without ever have to be there. We have done work for our clients in Canada, including India. So again, technology is allow us to expand and provide services that we couldn't possibly done 10, 15 years ago. And with technology, that means that we don't have to be there physically. Therefore, it will certainly reduce costs as well. Next question.
We got another question. Yeah, we got another question here from looks like Nate from Cincinnati. What other contract issues that I need to look out for? Well, actually, that's a real good question, and that's one of the things that's part of your team building portion of the process. Contractual issues, there are a bunch of them, and there are a bunch of areas that you really need advice on and help on. Obviously, there's the contract between you as the owner and the architect. There's contracts between you and the construction entity, and that can vary because it could be contracts for a construction manager or construction or general contractor. So each one of them have their own subcontracts that we would help you go through in connection with your attorney. Then always there's the contracts that you have to deal with in regards to the purchase of the property and as well as purchase of the equipment. We of course can be that sounding board to help you through any of those questions and areas of our expertise. Han, did you have a question come through on your screen?
No, I don't.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, okay, I've got Brandon from Dallas. I have already purchased my property. How will your team help any different than a local architect? Well, it kind of adds on to what we talked about before we've done numerous of these facilities. We have, as part of our team, obviously Dr. Huntzinger, who has done so many of these is there's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's no need to go down a path where you're doing mistakes that maybe have been done before. And so a local architect can't really have the level of expertise and experience that maybe we have. Bill, did you want to add a little to that?
Oh, you mean just of all the errors I've made?
Well, just in, why would they want to use somebody local as opposed to, utilize us?
Well, the main thing about us is that you're going to find very few local dentists in your area that have the experience that we have and that I've had, and plus you're also going to find very few architects and design people that have dealt with so many different issues. Again, I want to emphasize that as an architect, Jim is the most creative architect I've ever met, and that's why I'm working with him. And I have to tell you, again, Han, as a moderator on Dentaltown, has seen so many different plans and so many different designs and answered so many questions. And again, as you heard, he's provided design services all over the world, and that's why you want to contact us first and work with us first. Now, one of the questions, Jim, I think we got another question coming in from Robert.
Yes, the question is, how big should my operatories be?
Now, Han, I know that you get a lot of questions about this on Dentaltown, and I know there's some groups out there right now discussing the fact that how much people can save by squeezing their operatories down, and I can see some reasons for that. And I'm a little older, so I have a little different feel about it. Han, why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's a huge debate, and I think it depends on your mindset and how you practice. Okay, there's a debate among, especially for a lot of the younger dentists who may not have the cash flow to build larger facilities. Of course, everything is relative. If you're in some little hole somewhere in New York and your operatory is only 5 feet wide, well, you're going to be right on top of your patient. But typically, the universal rules in operatory size is 10 feet wide by 11 feet deep, and that there will accommodate the cabinets on each side of the chair. If you eliminate, of course, if you only need cabinets on one side, then you can take out some floor spaces out of there if you need to or you want to. And if you eliminate both cabinets on both sides, some have reduced the width down to as big as as low as 8 feet. It all depends on how you feel in that space. Okay, but the rule is typically 10 wide by 11 feet deep.
Yeah, and Han, I would go along with that. I've actually worked in that medical arts building that you know very well. We had no side cabinetry. We had everything on the back wall. We had a single entry point because that's what we had to do. And honestly, you can make it work. Now, a lot of these companies have very specialized equipment, very specialized carts, very specialized all kinds of stuff that is supposedly ergometric or ergonomic or whatever that is. And I got to tell you, you can actually, if you need a small space, you want to squeeze options, we can do that. I mean, I'm at the point where we use tray and tub systems, which many dentists maybe are using or maybe not using but haven't even heard of. But it's a system that works very well. It's very inexpensive. And it's a simple way to get a smaller op set up and not actually buy anything ergometric or anything about that. You can do it very well. We're very well versed in that, and it works very well. I personally like a wider op. I like having cabinets on the side. I like having surfaces on either side of me. I like rear delivery. I like the fact that the patient doesn't have an arm over them. With a bunch of drills that they're looking at, but that's my personal preference. I think a lot of patients prefer that. A lot of consultants prefer that. I also like having enough space in the room to have a companion sit in the room if they choose. We have many patients come to our office because mom can actually be in the room, and if mom behaves, mom gets to stay in the room. But we have a lot of parents that like that idea, and they actually leave dental offices and come to see us because of it. So again, we're not married to anybody. We're not married to any equipment. We're not married to any cabinet people. We're not married to any of those people. When you sign a contract with us, you are married to us, and we are married to you, and we are committed to what you want and to give you advice on that. So again, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, you need to put all ADEC carts and chairs and whatever in your office, or use X brand, or you have to make it this small, and there's all kinds of different ways to look at this. I mean, obviously building costs are high, so if we can get more ops in a smaller space, that's fine, but how small is too small, and how do you want to work? So that's the great thing about dentistry. You can work a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, let me interject for a second, Bill. Bill, the issue about having a companion in, to accompany the patient, that is a biggie for the size of the operatory. So if you have a standard size operatory, 10 by 11, you can accommodate, a companion within that treatment room very, very comfortably. But if you reduce it down, to an 8-foot, they will be right on top of the patient. That is one question that those who advocate the narrower operatories could not and have not answered. Okay, again, it's a more of a personal preference, but if you consider one versus the other, you should spend some time in that environment.
Well, and how we have an aging population that has walkers and wheelchairs, and there's all kinds of stuff. I know they say they can do it. I know they do. But I'm telling you, it's tight. So, again, we are not married to any of these people. We're not married to any equipment. We're not married to any of that stuff. We will advise you on what's best in your situation, and we will do an analysis of your situation.
We got another question that relates to the size from Victoria in Houston. She said, we're looking to add to our practice and add an orthodontist to our team. What should we do, and does an orthodontist op need to be different from a general dentist op in size and configuration?
And Han, we were just working on this. You want to jump in at some of those differences?
Well, the orthodontist, if you're in a quiet room or a treatment room, it's no different than your general practitioner.
Right, but the orthodontists, the guys that I've been talking to, some of the designs, in fact, you just worked on one, I believe, down in Texas, where some of them are in more of a pod design, where the chairs are close together, it's an open concept, and then they have what they call banding and consult rooms, which are set up to the side. So it's a different way to do it. We actually have an orthodontist in our practice. He works right out of the same operatories we do. It works fine. He complains somewhat because he would like a more open concept, which we're actually we're going to be in the middle of designing that one because we're running out of room for him. We need to move him because he's taking up too much space.
The open bay would allow the orthodontist to be, to move about and get from one patient to the next a lot easier and quicker. But if he's into if you compare an operatory, a single operatory between general practice and orthodontics, there's no difference.
Well, they work the same, but again, they can work in one of our rooms. They prefer to have one of their open rooms to work in.
Yes.
Listen, I work with this guy from Michigan. He's definitely hard-headed. So, any of you guys from Michigan, no offense. It's an excellent school to be trained at. I don't particularly care for the football team, but that's me. So, Han, I think I see something here from somebody down your way, down in Florida. What is the main advantage of dual entry versus single or side entry? I know you see this a lot.
Yes, I do. I think the dual entry certainly have a lot of its pluses. One is that you have, it allows you as the, as the doctor and your assistant both have your own exit. You don't have to climb over the patient to get out if you have a dual entry. Okay. that has become the preferred design element. Some of the complaints that you may hear is that it's too noisy to have dual entry. Well, you can always put doors on them, so they don't have to be an open type of concept. Okay, so it's convenient and accessibility, and when your staff have ways to get, you and your staff have ways to get in and out of the office quickly, it saves you a lot of time and a lot of hassle, and that's the predominant advantage.
That I agree. I'm 100% with you. I like dual entry. I just think it makes it a lot easier to get in and out of the operatories with the assistant and the doctor.
Yep.
Hey, Han, you got another one. These guys love, and Han, they love you. I got another one here for you. Lisa from Rockville is in Maryland, is asking between an architect, and I like how she worded it, kind of like you guys, somebody who knows what they're doing, or the dental supplier, like and we'll say a bad word, we'll say shine designer. What are the main differences between like you guys and if I have the shine guy do my design, which he says he'll do for free?
All right, Jim, jump in anytime you like. Okay, let me put.
You guys have to be nice.
Yeah, I'll be real nice, but I'll also be real poignant. You pay for what you get, and
all right.
Obviously, as the architect, as part of this team that we're putting together, we integrate Bill's expertise, my expertise, along with Han's expertise into a combined whole. That integrates things like code reviews, constructability, issues of mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural. We'll look at your existing facility and make sure that it works from an ADA standpoint. It's actually...
ADA is American Dental Association. What are you talking about?
Okay, not the ADA. I'm talking about the Americans with Disabilities Act. The legislation that was passed by our congressmen and women that requires that your facility is accessible by individuals who are not able to do things like stairs.
Now I have to tell you that guys, I was kind of like since I'm old, I was kind of like, oh, we don't need this stuff. But I'm going to tell you, we made our place ADA compliant. It's easy to get it out of here, and it attracts patients.
Well, and it's the law.
And they come in. So yeah, it's the law, but by golly, you should do it anyway because it works. It's a great thing to do. And Han, you're an expert on this.
Yeah, and here's my take. Okay, when you deal, the architect, one, is trained to handle everything about the building, everything. Okay, the code, the zoning, everything associated with your project from the inside to the outside. So when an architect looks at your project, they see not just the minute stuff, but the big stuff as well. Now, when you deal with design, dental design, and there's some good guys out there, and as well as the suppliers, their main focus is how many operators you can have and where the pieces of equipment is. If you take a look, and they will tell you up front, if you look at their drawings, okay, their main focus is not to deal with zoning, not to deal with building codes. So if you get a design and the major question that can throw the wrench into your project is not answered up front, it's got to be fixed later on down the road when it's more costly, when it costs you both time and money. So if you're going to do it right from the start. Okay, now, they do have a valuable function, but in my opinion, their function is not to design your facility.
Well, that was pretty nice, Han. You should hear Han when he's talking, when he's looking at the drawings that they've done that he has to redo. He's not quite as pleasant.
And
Han, I'm very proud of you tonight.
Yeah, and top that off, okay? When the work is done by the architect, the architect will take the responsibility and the liability for the design. Your equipment supply company will not. Okay, so they don't stand behind their work, and they say so on their drawing. They're not responsible for.
To add to that, they do not and are not able to seal and stamp the drawings, and most of the time it is required by the local permitting agency that drawings have to be stamped and sealed by a registered architect within that state before they will give you a permit. So by utilizing, for example, the free services from a dental equipment supplier, sure, you get that little component of it, but that's a very small component. It still has to go to, you still have to integrate the architect so that you can get a stamped set of drawings that effectively can be permitted and eventually built.
Yeah, the information that you usually get from the supplier is very focused on the equipment. Okay, they have no responsibility for the building, how it works, code issues and stuff like that. It's not their core business. Okay, they will lay out a space for you so you have some idea how many pieces of equipment you will need. But as far as the architectural aspect, they can't take responsibility for it, nor will they volunteer to do so. So it's just not. They are a member of the team, but they're not. They should not be the primary member of your team.
Yeah, they shouldn't be the lead. I got a real interesting one come from Dawn in Flint, Michigan. She asks, my plan is to downsize my facility because it's just too large. It is costing me way too much in overhead. Can you help, and how? Well, that obviously is right in our wheelhouse, because effectively we'll take that free consult, sit down with Dawn, go through what she has, find where the efficiencies can be created to downsize that facility so it's efficient. It effectively meets her needs on how she specifically practices, her and her staff, so that she doesn't have a whole lot of wasted space, and move her into a facility that's perfect for her, and not something that she's effectively maybe inherited from someone that maybe she purchased the practice from.
Okay, I have a question here. I have one from Tom of Tifton, Georgia. See, I have heard of the term code analysis. What is it referring to? When do you do it, and by who? That is a great question. A code analysis is something that you need to do that's associated with looking at the building, looking at the site, looking at every aspect of your project or your space that you're entertaining of using to identify the requirement as dictated by your state building code. You know, they could relate to how many toilet facilities you need to have, whether there's any ADA issue that needs to be resolved, access to the buildings, and there's just a slew of things that identify what is really needed as a minimum requirement by code. Again, that should be done before you draw the very first line, okay? And who needs to do that? Whoever you ask to do the design, okay? So whether it is the supplier that you entertain, they should do that. If not, find somebody else. But typically, that is a very standard practice for an architect to do. That is the very first thing he does when he gets involved in a project, because you want to have all those answers that are required by by the building code that will allow you to actually use your building once it's done. If they say you need to have two public restrooms, you put in two public restrooms. Of course, they have to be ADA compliant. So yeah, it needs to be done up front and by whoever is going to design for your facility, not the guy at the tail end of the project. Okay, so that's a great question.
Okay, now it's getting a little late. We're at 9:33, so we're only going to be able to take about one or two, maybe three more questions off our board. We've got quite a few, so those of you that are out there and have questions that will get answered tonight, go ahead and please email us or contact the office, and we'll do our best to answer any questions. I also want to let guys know that we are going to post this webinar on our website, so you'll have access to it. We'll also probably send a link. We'll have to talk to our genius IT guy about that. But I see Robert must be getting ready to really do something. Jim, we got another question.
Robert asks, what should I hire first, or excuse me, who should I hire first when starting this process? Well, actually, that's an excellent question, and we also had one that was very similar to that. It came from Joyce in Pittsburgh. She says, we're looking to build a new facility. How do I go about selecting the builder? And does he then get the architect? I have a builder who built our house a few years ago. Should I use him? Well, that really is a two-edged sword, and there's so many things that have to be integrated into that decision. First of all, as the team is created, you want to surround yourself with the best individuals for the particular tasks at hand, and ones that are basically working for you in your best interest and have the expertise necessary to do what you're asking them to do. So when it comes to selecting a builder, or do you select the architect, or who do you do first, we advocate that you integrate us, the architectural component and designer, first, because we don't have any skin in the game when it comes to how big the facility is and how much you're going to spend on it, and by equation, how much you're going to give me as a fee, whereas a builder in fact does. So they may say that it really doesn't affect them, but in actuality it does affect their decision-making process. Really, you want to look for someone, and by allowing the architect to help you with that decision process up front, you have a better chance of getting a much better product, a much better final solution, and a much better cost efficiency, as opposed to letting the builder take control and lead the process. Really, they look at it from a bottom line decision as how much money eventually are they going to make on whatever they do. Any other thoughts to that, guys?
So I think the segment about whether I have the builder that built my house do my office, there is some very gifted builder that may be able to manage that, but going from a residential type of project to a complex commercial project, that could be a very huge learning curve for them. I wouldn't advise taking that particular route.
It can be very costly, and you're exactly correct, Han, because once you've started construction with a construction entity, it is very difficult to fire them and hire someone else. It's time-consuming and it's extremely costly. So effectively, they got you, over a barrel. And then all of a sudden, you've got the scenarios where those ugly things called change orders come through, where they are saying, well, we didn't plan on that. You're basically having to pull out a checkbook and start writing checks that you didn't anticipate. Again, very costly. When you integrate someone like the architect first, that really mitigates and minimizes the areas of change orders and costly components that maybe you might have if you hire your local house builder to do a commercial project.
Okay, so I got to tell you guys, we're going to have to cut this off. I got a bunch of questions still here, but I love that question by Robert, and I'm going to answer quite bluntly. You need to hire us first, and I want you to think very carefully about this, because if you hire us first, we will, and I'd hire us early. Okay, I would get us in early. We've got into some projects where we've got guys who want to put buildings on lots you can't put their building on. We've got guys that have bought things, rented space that we can't get stuff in there. We've got people who have done things that will not fit in code. We've got geology problems where they want to put things up. So I would get us early. If you're sitting out there right now thinking, okay, I'm interested in this. I like this idea. I think I need a new office, okay? Well, if you're thinking you need a new office, you need some help figuring that out. I've done this a whole bunch of times, and there are certain parameters that you can provide us from your office, and I can pretty much tell you if you need more space and where you need to go and how much money you can make if you do it. It's a fairly simple formula. We don't charge for it. You just got to be brave enough to put it out there and give it to me. And guys, I got a lot of gray hair. I don't judge anybody. Okay, so don't be afraid to do it. Just provide there's certain numbers we can tell you almost immediately if you need more ops and where you're going to go. And there's a couple things we need to know about you and how you think and how you want to practice. And we can pretty much tell you yes. Most of the people that are starting to build now, their practices have some growth. They're a little crowded. There's a lot of pent-up demand. And right now, money is cheap. And construction costs haven't skyrocketed yet. I just talked to a builder today in my office, and I got to tell you guys, I practice every single day. I'm in an operatory every single day. I'm not making this up as we go. I pick up a handpiece and do root canals and extractions and everything that you're doing. So I understand, what's going on in your head. And again, you've got to practice dentistry. You don't have time for all this baloney all the time. So that's why we have these guys. That's why we have Han and Jim. Han and Jim are the two guys, the key to this program. They know what they're doing. They're really good at it. And once you tell us what you want and point the direction, we can get you there, okay? I wish, it's like I wish I would have known, if I would have known, and all that kind of good stuff. This is what you do. You call us, you hire us, you get us in early. If we're in early, we can help you pick a location. We can help you make a decision about what size. We can help you make a decision, help you with your business model. We can do all that, and it just saves you a ton of money. It saves you a ton. Han, how many plans do people put up on Dentaltown every day that get critiqued?
I think I have at least look over probably 2,000.
Okay, 2,000 of them are getting posted. Okay, 2,000.
I mean, they just don't critique. Okay, some of them are so poorly done that I literally would take out sketch paper and tear it apart and give them new. All right.
And
so
these plans are done by supposedly experts, right, Han?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Okay. And Han's being really nice tonight. Han usually calls me and has me review these plans, and he's really upset with people. So I'm really, again, Han, I'm really proud of you being really good tonight.
Well, let's add to that. Let's really bring it into the dollars and cents. Dr. Angie's project in Findlay, and she will not be unhappy with me sharing this. She brought us in too late. She admits that. She brought us into the picture as part of her team after she purchased the existing building.
Okay, and I know you guys are looking at that building, and what would Dr. Huntzinger would have done? Torn it down.
Torn it down.
Yeah.
But the other issue that's part of that building that we haven't really addressed, but she didn't know about until after we got integrated in, is that building was actually built over the property line.
Yep.
The zoning issues changed, and so it required 3 variances and an ungodly amount of rework and tear down just so she could get her new facility to fit on that specific location. Beautiful location, bad building. If we would have been integrated early for her, we would have effectively allowed her to save hundreds of thousands of dollars in the purchase price because we could have armed her with that knowledge when she negotiated the price with the seller. As the seller effectively didn't know that, and the buyer, Dr. Angie, did not know that. So integrating us early can effectively pay for any and all of our fees down the
I mean,
road,
she would have
just
easily,
as one mistake.
Well, and Jim, let's just throw it all out there. She hired a contractor that we recommended she not hire.
And half the way through, fired that contractor and asked us to step in and help do the construction management and build the rest of the project out with her husband as the acting as the construction manager.
But I'm not going to falter because I made a lot of these same mistakes myself. I'm just farther down the road. So,
and bottom line is, it's the best facility that could ever have happened for her, and her practice has grown immensely ever since the day she opened her doors.
yes, and she's done great. And I'm going to tell you, it's a cool place. It is really a cool place. So anyway, again, get us in early. Give us a call. I have to tell you right now, you can contact Jim or Han. I know Jim fields a lot of the questions, and if you need to talk to all of us, we're more than happy to set up an online conference call with you. We have a no-charge consultation. These guys, Han does a fabulous job of doing this thing called, what is that, Han, a bubble drawing or whatever you do?
It's got a bubble diagram. You know, some of the other people might call it a blocking diagram, but a bubble diagram will give you kind of a snapshot of what can possibly be used, you know, in the space you're interested in without really a lot of detail, nut and bolt type of decision making. So it's the
I wish I would have had you, Han. I wish I would have had you 10, 12 years ago, buddy. I wish I would have. Well, actually, I did know him. I just was too dumb to call him. That was the issue.
Well,
guys, we don't want to hold you up any longer. We're already about 15 minutes over. Again, this will be available on the website. We're going to send you guys out a link for this, and
look forward to our next one.
Yeah, we're going to have another one in August. I think we'll have the dates posted on Dental Town. You'll get an email from us, and we'll cover more. We'll kind of just cover a lot of this ground that we covered tonight because we have a lot of other people that already told us they couldn't come to this one tonight. So we'll have the information out there. So again, thank you very much. This has been a wonderful discussion. We've enjoyed interacting with all of you, and we look forward to meeting you all someday soon. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good night.